Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to Death Knight Tips and Tricks. Today we're going to be going over priorities for stats and gear, your reforging, and your gems and what options you have in each gem socket. Alright, we're going to jump right into this. We are going to go over stat priorities. Your number 1 priority is strength. Your number 2 priority is to get 5% hit cap. That's hit cap for melee. Your number 3 priority is going to vary between which spec you are. If you're spec'd Unholy and you're going to be going the more spell cleavish role in PvP, you're going to want to stack haste as your number 3 priority. But if you're at Frost DK, that completely goes out the window because you'll be stacking mastery. So Unholy DK, stat priority for the number 3 is haste. For Frost DK, it's going to be mastery. Expertise will be your 4th and final stat priority for Unholy and Frost DKs. Another very important priority that is more of an overall priority for DKs in general, for Unholy and Frost, is your resilience. Most DKs that run arenas are going to be wanting to stack a ton of resilience because of the squishy nature of Death Knights in 4.2. So in general, most DKs you're going to see in the top ladder of the ranking system are going to have over 41% resilience, just to give a little bit more mitigation for that melee pressure you're going to be feeling. So this is actually going to adjust some of your stats, gems, and your gear, and adjust your stat priority just a little bit. Everything other than reforging. The reforging will go directly off those core 4 stats that I gave you, stat priority. But as far as gemming goes, resilience is going to come in really high and basically going to outweigh strength, or it's going to outweigh strength or be equal level with it. Alright, let's go over some of the gear real fast. Basically, this is my standard Death Knight that I ground up a few months ago on Dark Spear. And he's in full Ruthlessness gear. So we're going to go over basic stat priority. For the enchant, you're going to want strength, which is your priority. Resilience is also high up on that scale. We'll go over gems in a minute. Far as reforging goes, you're going to want to keep mastery because I'm a Frost DK. If I was Unholy DK, I would be reforging that mastery in the helmet slot to haste. As far as the neck piece goes, it provides 160. So this comes into the stat priority of number 2, your hit cap. So you're going to want to keep that long as you're going for your hit cap, and you see mine is 0-0. So I did choose to reforge my neck piece. As far as shoulders go, I had expertise, so mastery, since I'm a Frost DK, if I was Unholy, it would be haste. So I reforged my expertise into mastery. Alright, we're getting down to the back piece. Also haste, I choose to reforge this to hit to counterbalance my hit cap rating of number 2 stat priority. Gonna jump into the chest piece, which was crit, which is very useless for a DK. So again, master or haste depending on your spec. Wrist, haste, so obviously you're going to be wanting to go mastery or haste depending on your spec. The other choice of bracers you have for PvP bracers is obvious. Your would be crit, I believe. So I went with a haste because haste does fall into the stat priority a little bit with the Frost DK, but it's better than having crit. So it's still not as good as having your expertise. You'll take the haste if you're left with any stat between haste and crit. Go to the weapon, reforge crit into mastery. into the relic. You're going to reforge crit into mastery. Hit for your number 2 stat priority in your ring, and the other ring has hit built in, so you will keep that. Mastery into your feat. Reforging crit. Now this is a choice that you would only make for Frost Decay, reforging that haste into mastery. And we're going to jump into the belt, and we are reforging mastery. Actually, we're not reforging anything. If you were unholy, you'd be reforging that mastery into haste. Jumping right into the gloves, and we have hit. So my hit rating came out a little bit over, but if I choose to reforge either my back or gloves, I would be under the hit rating. So I hope that clears up a little information about reforging your gear and how you want to be doing it. And I'll have the links up for stat priority in the video, and you'll be able to see it. And now we're going to jump into gemming. Alright, let's get right into it. Gemming for DK, Death Knights for PvP. This is going to vary a little bit, and you're going to have some options to this depending on if you're a heavy arena player or battleground player. For my helmet, I went with the 54 strength, 3% increased critical damage. For this socket, it gave me 30 resilience, so I went with the 20 strength, 20 resilience gem. And for the shoulders, I went with the 40 resilience to get the socket bonus of the 10 strength. If you are mainly a battleground player, you're going to be able to get away with under the 41% that most Death Knights have for arenas. You're going to be able to get away with like 38%, so you're going to be able to dump some of this resilience for strength if you're just looking to do some random BGs and do more damage. Also, you want to enchant the spell penetration on your cloak, and you're also going to have to use 2 to 3 gems for this also. 190 is the cap for Death Knights. I believe I have 170, which is a little under. Here's another enchant, 40 resilience. I'm trying to meet that 41%. The 20 strength gem and the plus 20 resilience to get the socket bonuses of 20 resilience rating. I also am a jewel crafter, so I use the 67 resilience gem also in there to try and get over that 41%. You can either go with the 50 strength to bracers, or you can go with a lesser one if you're trying to save money. I went with a 67 strength gem for my relic slot for jewel crafting. 50 mastery since I'm a Frost DK for the gloves. You can also get a 65 mastery rating for enchant for your gloves also. I went with a 67 resilience. That's also optional. This is going to be very dependent on playstyle. Gemming is one thing that DKs have a little variation with, because if you're an arena player, and depending on your comp, I'm not saying all comps have to run like this, but it depends on if you're a priority target or you're the secondary target for teams you face, you can get away with dumping some of this resilience if you're not the primary target that gets attacked on your team, and you'll be able to substitute in strength for your main stat priority on that list that we talked about earlier. There's my spell pen gem and another 20 resil. 190 attack power, 55 crit, that's a standard leg enchant. Another 20 gem. A 50 spell pen. Also, that's getting me very close, but I'm not capped to the spell pen. 40 resilience to the boot, 50 plus mastery to get that 10 plus resilience bonus from the socket. And that's going to do it for gems. I hope you enjoyed this episode of tips and tricks for Death Knights, and always subscribe, and next week's episode we'll be getting more into toolbar configurations and macros. Hope you enjoyed.